welcome to Global Professionals in Portugal. My name is Cordelia, and today I have Captain Marvin and Rhoda, guests who own a hotel in the Silver Coast region in Portugal called the Marinha Garden Inn, and they have come here from Nigeria, and so they're going to share their journey with us. Thank you two so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Tell me a little bit about your journey to Portugal and how long you've lived here.
So we've been in Portugal for just about 2 years. It was a tough decision to move out of our country, Nigeria. It was a very easy decision to choose Portugal. Portugal's got a lot of things going for it: safety, security, stability, healthcare, the friendliness of the people, cuisine, and the rest of it. They've got some of the best wines. It's an understated country, small in Europe, hidden there. Sometimes you don't even hear about them. But then you come in and say, wow, you guys got all of this, you're blessed. I visited Portugal a long time back while I was on the ships. We came from a very densely populated city, lots of crime, as you can imagine, and all of that. Yeah, so I thought for our kids, we don't need such an experience for them. We don't want our children to grow thinking that it was all right to carry guns, and it was acceptable to fire a rifle or a pistol at another person. And that happens a lot where we came from, and it was increasing, and we wanted to get them out of that scenario. So Portugal offered us that opportunity.
There's also a growing gun violence in the US. Here, people aren't like having a gun at home to fire on somebody. So yeah, I love that too. How long have you been here?
It's about 2 years now, and we came in first on an exploratory visit, and we spent a month touring the country from Lisbon, and we said to ourselves, we're going to go through each experience and we'll take the decision on the spot if this city is a yes or a no. When I came on the ship, I only went to the coastal area, and so I didn't have that much experience, and Lisbon was congested for us. We shifted to Fatima. It was religious and quiet. Okay, we'll come visit you once in a while, and we headed for Porto. And Porto welcomed us with 3 days of rain. I told my wife, it's time to leave. This is not the city for us. Let's go. We're going to Leiria.
It was nice. So we fell in love with Leiria.
Are you Captain Marvin because you were a ship captain before?
Yes, I was a ship captain. That was my original career. I first went to sea at age 19, and I stayed at sea all through and became a captain of liquefied natural gas tankers.
Oh, wow.
And I retired and said, okay, enough of this business. So I stopped, and then we decided to relocate to Portugal.
You own a hotel?
Yes, at this time we own a hotel. And you'll wonder, I say, ship captain, hotel, what's the connection? The ship is actually a floating hotel. It's a floating city, it's a floating village. The cruise ships highlight that a lot more with the passengers. But on the cargo ships like we were on, it was highlighted on a smaller scale. From there, I took on the knowledge of what it is to operate a hotel, how much it means to be clean, that hygiene was number one, and all of that, how you take care of people. Then as a seafarer, you travel a lot. Yes. You visit a lot of countries, and you go to a lot of ports to join the ships. As the ships, you and the ship rendezvous in a port, so you fly in by air and catch up the ship there. So you have a lot of hotel experiences. You have a lot of pickups at the airport with strangers, people you never met before, people you might never meet again. I picked up on the way I was treated, the ones I liked, the ones I didn't quite like, and I could decipher what made some of them tick. So I said to my wife, to Rhoda, okay, I think all we need to do is get a hotel and treat the people as we will want to be treated if we were to visit Portugal. And that's what brought us into the hotel and said, we'll take a risk in life. Sometimes you just plunge and you wait and swim. And so we took it. We bought it initially as a
rundown property.
Build a hotel rundown, and needed a lot of TLC. The previous owners said they could no longer afford to invest in it. They didn't have the funds. They were having issues with the banks. So we came in and did a cash purchase, took it off them, and then started the renovation, did a lot of renovation work. And now we've transformed it, changed the name and all of that. We're still not where we want it to be, but we have a small hotel that offers a very high standard of quality, but at a very affordable price.
Now, how many rooms do you have?
We initially had 25 rooms and an apartment. We cannibalized a lot of the spaces, converted them. So now we're 22 rooms. We converted the apartment into a social area, a games room, and a small gym.
The plan was to renovate for a short period of time, and then we had problems with contractors, and a lot of things happened, and we stayed too long on renovation. And so our license ran out. So we could only finish the inside job. We were unable to touch the outside. So because the outside remained the same, apart from the name change, that the signage that showed that the name has changed.
The hotel in its original name was, I think, Hotel Paris.
Yeah.
And it was the first hotel in Marinha Grande.
Yes.
Since it's well known on the old name, and now people are rediscovering.
One of the things I love about Portugal is it is such a beautiful country. And then I do enjoy the older buildings and seeing them come back to life. And I love that you guys did that. So I have a question, a little bit of a technical question. You said that your license for renovation expired, so you couldn't do more. How does that process work?
The answer will differ from Frexia to Frexia, as I understand. Ours was fairly straightforward. We were very happy that, oh, you're going to carry a renovation of this hotel? Okay.
Right.
And they were very supportive. They asked what we wanted, suggested we get an architect, bring our architect in. So we called in the architect the next time. He went in there, did it all in Portuguese, and it was pretty quick. So they gave us a permit for 90 days. If we had gone for the extension, we'll have to keep the business shut down. We didn't operate for about 7 months. And that was a lot of pressure on the business itself. We still are not fluent in the language. And we had a couple of people where we had a lot of language translation failures. We sorted everything out and we'll get the outside done the way we really want it to be.
Sounds like you did a really good job, even with all of your hiccups, of getting the inside to where people could come stay. And I'm sure when you were in the middle of it, it seemed really long, but from other business owners I've interviewed, that's actually quite an accomplishment. So congratulations.
Thank you. It took a lot of blood and sweat. It was not very nice, but we learned a lot from it.
Do you feel like there's anything that you learned that you could share with our viewers that might help them if they're trying to do something similar?
One of the challenges we had was also, maybe it was an assumption on our part, and I wouldn't say it was a translation issue. Before we started the renovation, we did a cost analysis and we went to our bank and had a conversation with our account manager. This is where we are. We would like the bank to handle this for us. And they said, yes, that's not a problem. Once you're ready, let us know. We'll go through it and then we'll just agree how much we'll loan to you and where you start. But when we shut down, started the works, and now say, okay, Mr. Banker, here we are, recall our conversation. Yes, we do, but now you need to bring me this document and that document and this document. And we brought them all, and they say, oh, you've only operated for such a short time. You've only been in the country for such a short time. Oh, we need a bit more history. You should have told us all of this from the beginning. The business had been there, but because we changed the name, changed everything else, it now changed the entire narrative. Therefore, we will not be able to support you because you don't have the funds. But it was an irony to us. I said, we have the building. The building has a huge value. It's right in the center of the city. They say, yes, we recognize that.
We know that.
We still need this criteria to be fulfilled, your length of time, how long you have operated. And so we sat down together and said, where do we go? The resilience that we put on to fight these obstacles is what determines whether we'll smile or we'll cry in the end. And so we took it there. We have to buy the bullet. We want to do the renovation. We need it. Let's go. If someone were to ask me for an advice, I'll tell him to be careful with who you select as your contractor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a key success factor, because sometimes, even not because the contractor is being unreasonable, but because of the challenges we have with labor.
Yes.
Sometimes the contractors, when the labor market is a bit tight, then the available labor tend to gravitate towards the bigger companies.
The business banking in Portugal is just not the same standard as it is in other countries. And so I don't mean to say anything bad about Portugal in general, but I've heard from business owner after business owner that what would qualify you for a small business loan in many countries, they just don't do here. And there is this cultural thing. They only give you information if you ask for it. But if you don't know to ask the question, you don't get the information.
Exactly.
Right. So they don't say, oh, this person probably doesn't know this, so let me tell them. They don't think that way. And so they're like, I answered every question that they had. Right. And it just seems to be part of the culture where they don't assume or even put themselves in your shoes. It sounds like if you had kept the name of the hotel, did the renovation, and then changed the name, that it sounds like that would have gone better, right? Because then they couldn't say that it was a new entity.
If we had bought the company, for example, the original operator,
the person who was running the place before us, yes, we didn't buy his company. We bought with
we only
our
bought the
own
building.
Yes.
Oh, so you
we
didn't buy
bought
the business,
building.
you just bought the building. Okay.
Correct. If we had bought the business, then we take over the accounting, we take over the history, we take over everything else. It's just a change of directors and shareholders.
Yes, that we could do a lot more.
Yes, with that, the banks will listen to us and we'll just continue on the previous history. And we ran it for 7 months. And we went on to check the statistics and we got several calls after that. We moved the revenue 402% in the 7 months from what it had been in the past. And a couple of people called us. There was a hotel owner in Lisboa who called and said, I see what you're doing. How did you know my name?
They called us.
He said, we have all of the information online.
We have the information of the hotel. We see what you're doing. We want you to take over our hotel.
He wants me to come and buy his hotel in
Lisboa.
One is in Amada, I think, in Lisboa, and one is in Lourinhã. Then he called up, say, I'm serious. I'm an old man and I'm retired. I can no longer complete this job. But I want them to go to people who can.
How did they find out what you had done?
You can check online.
I think it's online. They buy the report
Company
of the business. Then he loaded up all of the information on WhatsApp. And then the gentleman called and we did a video call. So he's an elderly man and he's now retired. I said, why us? You never even met us before. We're barely in the country. They say, yes, but we can get all of the information online. He doesn't want to part with the hotel. It's his dream. So he wants to give it to someone who he can sit back and say, yep, it's in good hands and it won't be abandoned and it'll be done well.
So did you decide to do that? No.
When we discussed with the bank, it was the same. And then I spoke with the same gentleman. He actually asked us to come visit, see the hotel, tell him which of the two we would prefer. And he was going to discuss terms with us.
Yes, he was so happy to do that.
So I suspect terms he will have discussed will be, you finance it, finish up the hotel, get it to where it will operate, and we can discuss payments on how we'll do profit sharing and all of that. That's what I thought. Yeah, he was ready for that. So with the experience we had, the bank wasn't ready. I didn't go. It's still there.
It's not time for it just yet. We are just getting ourselves out of the ups and downs of the current renovation. It has made me so proud because when my husband brought the idea of buying an hotel, the first thing I said to him on the couch in the sitting room back in Nigeria, I was like, hotel what? How do we go from this to that?
Yeah.
I didn't get it. And it was like, you just give to people what you want them to give to you. I'm like, it's different from running a complete hotel. They're not cargos. And he said, we give to them what we expect to be given to us. So far, it's working like magic. And for anybody who is thinking of going into, it might not be an hotel business. It might just be a coffee shop. You need a loan. You might need to not just ask your bank or your banker. You might actually need to go a step further because what I see was we sat down with our bank and we said, we are looking at doing this. Can the bank finance it? And she said, yes, we can see your income. We can see your revenue and all of that. And that was it. And so we took our word and we ran with it. And now, when we now needed those funds, she turned us down. At that point, it was too late for us to back out. So we had to cough out all of those money from our pocket. If anybody wants to start a business in Portugal, Portugal is an amazing place, but make sure you ask 101 questions and go beyond asking the questions. Go into action. If you need to test out the loan is being taken, try it.
Yeah, put in the documentation.
Put in the document and see that they would actually give you that money. So don't just take their words and run with it in your name. So you need to actually check these things deeper. Like you said, go really deep in asking your questions and putting actions towards it.
So financing has been a challenge.
Yeah.
Luckily, you were able to overcome that. What are some of the things that you love about your business and living here in Portugal?
The choice of business that we invest this cash that we've got into a hotel business. Portugal has millions of people coming in to enjoy the weather that brought or that attracted us here as well. In the first place. So
Yeah.
we said, well, we might as well provide some accommodation for such people. We live in a small village with the Portuguese people, so we mingle, we see their ways of life, we learn a lot about them. So certainly in 5 years' time, we look back and say, we lived in Portugal, we won't be strangers within the country. So we chose the hotel, the hospitality side. We chose Marinha Grande because Marinha Grande is an industrial city.
We would never have
A reason to shut down.
to shut down. So even if we are not full, we will always be 50, 60, 70%. And that's what's playing out right now. Companies shut down July and August to go on
Right.
holidays. Those times we accommodate
The tourists.
It sounds like you made some really smart business decisions and managed to overcome some big hurdles.
The way advertisement works here in this country is by word of mouth. No matter the online advertisement you do, it will not bring the result that word of mouth will bring. If one person tells the other that place is good, you would definitely get 3 or 4 more people that will come because one person said that place is good. One of the things you need to do for you to attract the locals is drop your prices because you're new. They need to come in at a very cheap, affordable rate, see the place, feel the place, and spread the word. Sometimes you see my husband in uniform at the front desk. He wants to hear what the guests are saying. He wants to have a close contact with what. So sometimes you won't know these are the owners of the business. We want to know when you are hungry. We want to know if you are happy. We met with this family from France. He had, is it 9 kids? 7 kids. So they took a couple of rooms. Because it was affordable, Marinha Grande was not their destination. They wanted to see central Portugal, but they couldn't afford to stay in Leiria. So they came because of our prices. They asked us for a couple of recommendations of where they can take their kids to, how they can enjoy the central region. And we gave them everything they needed. They were so happy. They were supposed to stay for a week. He came back and he saw the receptionist. He said, no, I met a man here the day I checked in. A man checked me in. Where is he? I need to see him. So they told him, he got dressed and ran down to the hotel to see the guest. And the man was like, thank you so much for your recommendation. We enjoyed our stay. And I'm thinking, we want to extend our booking. They came through booking.com and said, we don't want to go back to booking.com. We want to stay with you. Would you like to give us a discount? And we can afford what you're charging us. And so we gave him some discount because he has a lot of rooms. And he stayed 1 more week. Is it 1 week?
He stayed 10 days.
When they were checking out, he told my husband and he said, thank you. We didn't plan to stay out this long. We thought we wouldn't be able to afford it. But your prices, your service, your rooms, it just made us feel like the holiday would have had anywhere else in Portugal. They said, thank you. My kids are so happy. They are relaxed and they'll be going back to school. Yeah. And that just made our whole summer. It just made everything worthwhile.
Of course, we're not running a charity. We recognize that it's a business and it's for profit. But we also have the word called greed, which is prevalent in our business world today. The CEOs are all going on business jets while the people they're serving us are barely able to afford the products that they're providing.
Right.
So we look at it also from that part and say to ourselves, we don't need to recoup the cost of our investment in 2 days. That's not the idea. For us, it's better than having the place locked up or having very few people during a long period of time, empty rooms, and then we only get full occupancy during the summer months. So we're better off keeping that average occupancy all year and we'll make more money at the end of the day. The customer is happy and we are happy.
Exactly. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about your parenting journey and your kids and how they've settled in?
When we chose Marinha Grande, we also knew there was an international school there. And so we opted for them to attend the international school. But within a month of their attending the international school, we had a change of heart. and realized maybe we have not made the right decision, because we saw them just doing the same thing they were doing in Nigeria, where they were attending an international school. They barely knew a word or two of Portuguese. So we pulled them out and sent them to a private Portuguese school. By December of that year, they were already fluent in most Portuguese. We did a presentation in December on stage in Portuguese. We didn't want them to go to the public school, but it's for a personal choice. It's not because of the standard. We just wanted to curtail how much they'll see, how much they'll hear
The
at this stage.
influences of other
The influences of other kids. We wanted to manage as much as we can those aspects. So we chose this school, which is also telling on the budget. So we manage ourselves and try to make everything work.
I'm so grateful that you came on the podcast to share your journey. And I'm going to put a link to the hotel in the description so people can go and check it out in person. And let me ask you this. You shared some really great business tips about financing and licensing and really thinking through your plan ahead of time. It sounds like you're learning the language and trying to integrate into the culture, which I think is really helping you as well.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Thank you.
The language is challenging. It's not one of the easiest to learn, but
I think a good way to learn the language as well is don't live in your own bubble. Integrate with your neighbors. Say hello, say hi. So we've picked up a lot of words. We might be doing the comma at the wrong place.
Sufficient for them to understand.
And the good thing about the Portuguese people is when they see that you're making the effort, they're ready to help hold your hand through that transaction. And so that is amazing. We have children that speak Portuguese, but would not teach us Portuguese. Go to school, mommy, go to study. They would completely have secret conversations in Portuguese. So far, it's been really hard learning the language, but it's been very interesting. The people are amazing. So it makes life much easier.
Yeah.
That's great. I love it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you have any questions for Captain Marvin and Rhoda, please put them in the comments. Please stay tuned. Every week, we have a new interview with somebody who's working here in Portugal to help make this a better environment for everybody just by sharing. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.